Thanks for staying with us. Let's go to this. President Ramaphosa says that he will let investigations into the Phala Phala Farm theft take their course. He was briefing the media earlier today.
I did say in the National Assembly that we would like to leave this whole matter of the robbery to the due process that must unfold. And I know that there are a number of questions that people have. And I did say in the National Assembly, quite a bit of counsel was passed on to me by a variety of members, some even quoting the Bible and all that. And I did say that whilst the approach and the advice is that allow the due process to unfold. Let those that are meant to do whatever review process, go ahead with it. And so that the whole matter can be looked into closely. And the advice has been, it's best to handle it that way. And then in the Assembly I said, I've been given some counsel by a number of members of Parliament, and I did say that that will also be considered because there are two positions. Do what every one of you who has asked a question and outline everything, and the other one from a more different position is let the due process happen.
And of course, developments in Parliament are also taking centre stage today. EFF MPs had to be removed again from the National Assembly after disrupting the sitting, insisting that the President not address the House. Of course, they're also calling for a lot of point of orders, as you would have watched. And this is all centred around the investigations into the burglary at the President's Phala Phala Farm. And today, of course, we saw more of the same. EFF MPs being ejected. We saw yesterday this was happening as well. And there's been a lot of talk around the handling of this particular matter by the Speaker as well as the members of the National Assembly themselves. And let's now look at this with political analyst Sandile Swana. Thank you so much, Mr. Swana, for your time. I mean, we're looking at the developments in Parliament before we even get to how the President is handling this whole matter of, the burglary. Some say that the Speaker was too patient with the EFF MPs, but she says that she was caught in a position where she doesn't want to be found wanting should this matter head to the courts. At the same time, others are saying that EFF MPs were simply too disruptive. Others are saying they're right to ask these questions. Your thoughts?
I have been very impressed with both the current Speaker and the previous one, Thandi Modise, in handling these types of situations. What has been happened today with the Nosiviwe Mapisa Nqakula is that she was able to make sure that she crosses the T's and dots the I's. Whilst her colleagues might be saying, go for it, scope and donor and do this and the other, they are not the ones who are going to be in court answering questions. So I think her approach was very measured, very sober and very constructive. Unlike other approaches where people were even called cockroaches, which might have endangered people's lives. So the current approach is correct, but there are some of the chief whips, especially of the ANC, that I think need to change their tactics because they give the EFF too much room by participating in the mayhem themselves.
So listening to what you're saying, then it goes down to the conduct of the officials in the National Assembly and how they should be handling this, because it was not to be expected. The EFF has been talking about it.
Yes, so the EFF has not only talked about it, they've done it before. And it is clear, I think, when you observe their strategies and their methods of working, that they are getting very well coached, well trained in how to do this. By the way, what is actually happening now is that the protest that would have happened in the streets is now being brought inside the National Assembly by the EFF, which is a new innovation in South African politics. And I think the office of the Speaker over time has evolved to understand that you can actually handle this in a very sober and constructive manner. Compared to other parliaments where these things break down to fist fights all over the show, there is a frustration about the impunity of the upper class in South Africa, where they commit crimes, including economic crimes and other types of crimes and non-performance and non-delivery, with impunity. And protest has got to escalate some way or the other.
And you talk about that because this is, really at the heart of what they were talking about. And the president this afternoon taking, lots of questions from journalists about this very issue. But he says that he's not going to comment further until the processes are done. And this is both, the criminal process, the political process. Has his handling of this issue been the correct one?
Well, the formal part that we see, I think it's fine for as long as it's able to genuinely, and as much as it's possible, to allow the police to check whether there were kidnappings and assaults of people and bribery that was effected on his behalf over there, and whether in fact over the years there's been a pattern of money laundering at Phala Phala Farm and any of the other president's farms and within his network, because there's a chance that might be profiled as an isolated incident. Meantime, it might be actually a pattern of behavior that brings in these dollars into Phala Phala Farm and other farms of the president and his colleagues. And then create the opportunity for a multiplicity of crimes, because now it's no longer just a burglary. There are other crimes now that have been committed.
So does he owe the nation an address, to take the nation into his conference around this? Because others are saying simply subjecting yourself to the Integrity Commission is not enough, because it looks like you're putting the ANC ahead of the country, when in actual fact you should be addressing the country and then moving towards a more political approach. What are your thoughts on that?
First of all, I'm one of those who has said before that the Integrity Commission of the African National Congress lacks the main ingredient, which is integrity and ethics. That Integrity Commission is a waste of time. Secondly, now that there is a chance that the president could be criminally charged himself, by the way, once you are facing the types of authorities that are going to be looking into this matter, it's better for your lawyer to speak on your behalf. And our law allows him the right to remain silent. And he will probably be advised to remain silent. I listened to Steenhuisen before, and he actually put it out in writing as well, that the keeping of money in furniture at home, the answers that the president have left so many questions at home. So the whole idea of keeping 60 million or any number of millions in your home under a mattress is something that the DA, which is the main opposition that has favored him quite a lot, is now questioning whether this person has got the correct sense of ethics around money.
And looking at developments in court in the Free State, suspended ANC Secretary General Ace Magashule saying that he's going to be contesting the upcoming conference and they're not going to bar him from doing that. We'll see the step-aside resolution. It's also been refined. I wonder, looking at that and the political, dynamics at play, because he's arguing that some are not equal when it comes to the law. Is this all a possibility come December?
There are two issues that we must not conflate and make into one. There are ANC processes. Within those processes, there have been problems of selective prosecution inside the ANC. There have been processes where the step-aside resolution, many lawyers pointed out that this thing is a problem. And you can see they fix it as they go along. Now, for a movement that was started in 1912 to be battling with issues discipline, what you do when you discipline a person now, since 1912, they're still battling with that. It shows you that there's serious institutional weakness. And that institutional weakness is not embedded in the constitution of the ANC, because this step-aside resolution is an addition to the constitution of the ANC. The constitution of the ANC is clear, and you could use it to deal with these issues. So it has opened up a can of worms. So his complaints relative to the ANC, to my mind, carry some weight. But I think in court he was very cautious in how he spoke, and I think his lawyers coached him well to say that he's not challenging the court, but he's questioning the other firm of attorneys, probably the biggest firm of attorneys in South Africa, the NPA, which represents the state against those who've offended against the state. Those are attorneys. So they are used to the rough and tumble of litigation and so on. So I don't think they'll take too much offense on that. But he was not addressing the NPA. He was actually addressing UN, making a political statement and rallying us to support him in his cause.
Dr. Swana, let's see what happens then from here on. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Appreciate it. That was political analyst Sandile.